So today we're going to dive into the work of the great Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard. And what he gives us is this fascinating, really personal framework for tackling one of life's biggest projects, right? The journey to find meaning.
Kierkegaard kicks things off with a question that, let's be honest, probably hits home for every single one of us. In a world that so often feels fractured, confusing, how do we actually find a life that feels genuinely, authentically meaningful?
You see, he described the human condition as a state of self-conscious existence in a broken world. We're aware, we're alive, but we also feel pretty keenly that things aren't quite right, that there's this disconnect. And that feeling, well, that's our starting point.
Okay, so to even begin to answer that massive question, Kierkegaard lays out this fundamental choice for us. He says there are basically two different paths we can take in our search for truth.
All right, so what are we talking about here? On one hand, you've got the objective path. This is the path of logic, of evidence, of historical proof. You know, the stuff of science, of academic reasoning. But then, on the other hand, there's the subjective path. And that is all about inner conviction, passion, and a really deep personal commitment.
But here's the kicker, and this is really Kierkegaard's big critique. He argued that the objective path, for all its strengths, will always fall short. And why is that? Well, because when you get down to the ultimate questions of faith, it can never give you a final, provable answer. It always leaves you with these nagging, unanswered questions, leading you to what he called the unknown.
And this is where we smash right into what Kierkegaard calls the paradox. A paradox is where our normal, everyday logic just kind of breaks. For him, the ultimate paradox was the idea of the eternal showing up in time, basically God becoming human. I mean, it's an idea that our logical brains just can't really process.
So since that objective path kind of hits a dead end, our focus has to shift, right? We have to look at the subjective journey, and Kierkegaard laid out 3 distinct stages on this path. Let's start with number 1, the aesthetic.
Okay, so the aesthetic life, it is all about living for the senses. Pure and simple. It's about chasing pleasure, social status, art, excitement, pretty much anything to keep yourself entertained and stimulated. You can almost picture it like a sensate culture, you know? Like getting lost in one of those giant, glittering shopping malls that's just packed with stuff nobody really needs. It's a life that actively dodges any deep moral thinking.
But of course, there's a catch. This constant chase eventually leads to a total dead end. Kierkegaard, borrowing a line from the book of Ecclesiastes, describes it as a feeling of vanity and vexation of spirit. What it really means is a profound boredom, a deep melancholy, where your spirit just feels starved and totally unsatisfied.
And this crisis, this feeling of spiritual boredom, is often the very thing that pushes someone into the next stage of life, the ethical. This is a conscious decision to live a more structured and responsible life.
So in this ethical stage, a person decides to embrace structure. They embrace responsibility. It's a total reaction against the chaos of that aesthetic life. It's about committing to clear duties. You follow a moral code, you contribute to society, you build a family. It's a respectable, stable life governed by that sense of duty. Kind of like the philosophy of Immanuel Kant, right? The whole idea is just to be a good, upstanding member of society.
But here's the thing. Even this noble, structured life, it's still not enough. It doesn't satisfy the soul. Kierkegaard argues that living purely out of duty, without a deeper spiritual connection, leads to an even more profound crisis, one he called the sickness unto death. And this is a despair so deep that it becomes a longing to just not exist anymore.
It's this second, even deeper crisis that forces a person to look beyond, towards the third and final stage, which requires moving beyond all the conventional rules and social duties. And this is the religious stage.
Okay, this next one is one of Kierkegaard's most famous and, honestly, most challenging ideas. It's called the teleological suspension of the ethical. Whoa, what a mouthful. But the key thing to get here is that it is not about becoming immoral or a bad person. It's about realizing that social rules, while good, aren't the end-all be-all. You have to be willing to suspend them for a higher, personal relationship with the divine, something that can finally satisfy that deep hunger in your spirit.
But Kierkegaard is very clear, just, joining a religion isn't the final answer. He makes this crucial and actually kind of fiery distinction here. He talks about religious A, which is basically what he called churchmanship. Think of it like religion as a social club. You go to church, you follow the rituals, you're a member in good standing, but it's really just a fancier version of the ethical stage. Religious B, though, that's the real goal. It's a living, passionate, deeply personal commitment that has nothing to do with any institution.
Now, we have to be careful here. When Kierkegaard uses the word passion, it's super important to understand what he means in his historical context. He's not talking about some fleeting romantic feeling. For an 18th century philosopher, passion meant the entire non-thinking part of your inner life, your deepest emotions, your attitudes, your dispositions. It was the very core of your being.
Okay, so all of this, these stages, these crises, it all builds up to the climax of his entire philosophy, the moment where it all comes together. And that is the final leap of faith.
So here's the bottom line for Kierkegaard. True, authentic meaning, you're never going to find it through objective proof. It can only be found through a subjective, passionate commitment. A personal leap of faith across that unknown, that gap that reason alone can never, ever bridge.
And that leaves us with a question, a challenge, really, that Kierkegaard aims at every single one of us. See, his philosophy isn't just some abstract theory in a book, it's a personal challenge. So, thinking about your own journey, what does your leap of faith look like?